Breaking news, the Biden administration and the DNC are looking into ways to hack into your phone and censor your text messages. So welcome to my channel. This is Bruce the Boss Resurrected. Before we get into it, please don't forget to subscribe on my new channel, like this video, comment on this video. Let's show YouTube that they may try to nuke this channel as well, but they can't stop us. We will come back resurrected because, as Ralph Smart says, if you don't fight for what you love, you will have to mourn for what you lost. So this is us making a voice. This is me in particular raising a voice against things going on in this country. So hopefully you like my channel and the content and subscribe. Help me get back to where I was. Let's go into the story. A baby gets thrown from a building in Durban that was on fire after the ground floor shops were looted. Buildings destroyed. Over 200 shopping malls have been looted by Monday afternoon, according to Bloomberg News, and several shopping centers in Soweto, former hometown of Nelson Mandela, have been largely, if not completely, ransacked, with ATMs broken into, restaurants and stores selling alcohol and clothing shops all left in tatters, with as many as 1,234 people having been arrested. So what appears to have kicked this all off was former President Zuma of South Africa has been arrested and sentenced to 15 months in jail, in prison. The former 79-year-old South African president. He was initially charged with corruption, possible corruption during his previous presidency and/or term, and he skipped his trial, and as a result was sentenced to 15 months. He's hoping for a reduced sentence, but that doesn't appear likely. Now, what sparked this off were his ardent supporters, and he had a large number of supporters in the country that felt as though this was nothing more than a political witch hunt from the current administration upon the previous administration, that this was unjustified, uncalled for. So that several, if not hundreds, if not thousands of his ardent supporters had a legitimate concern and beef and wanted to protest, including blocking all major roads. That was the extent of it initially. However, there were a large number of individuals not part of and or don't really care so much about what happened to former President Zuma, as much as they saw an opportunity to take advantage of and commit chaos as well as profit from it by, amid the protest from his former President Zuma supporters, they can then go off and loot, burn, destroy, as well as take things, whether it was clothing, money from these ATMs, food, alcohol, animals as well, and just vent out their frustration. We saw that happening in the United States during the Black Lives Matter movement. As even I can give credit, though I may not fully agree with BLM, they felt as though they have a legitimate cause, and there were individuals who were baked into that situation who saw an opportunity to loot under the guise of protesting and or justice. We saw that happen here, but that's not all of it. As many as 32% of the South African workforce, or 32.5%, are underemployed, or should I say unemployed and in poverty. And amongst the young people in that country of South Africa, over 46% are without jobs. So there's also a grave number of people who are desolate, without hope, frustrated, starving, can't afford the basic standards of living, don't know where their next meal is coming from, if whether or not also if they'll be able to provide for themselves, just barely getting by. And they are frustrated and they see no hope, no glimmer of solution coming from the government to help out their current situation. And so their frustration finally boiled over, and this was like a powder keg that just exploded. There are those who were, again, part of President Zuma's resistance that also fell within that crowd. Obviously, it's a large percentage of people underemployed, unemployed, and or starving and or in poverty. And so you just saw that explode. We saw that happening here in the United States, because I honestly do not believe that many people got riled up just because of perceived racial injustice, but rather it happened at the very beginning, if not towards the tail end of a lockdown that caused a lot of mental stress, as millions of Americans were forced out of work. Their future, their careers, their economic prosperity in question, in peril. Now they're collecting unemployment for the very first time. They don't know what's going to happen. They're scared. And then this happens. You tack that on top of everything, and it's just an explosion waiting to happen. I believe that happened in South Africa as well, unfortunately, as many are now suffering. You have many neighborhoods getting together to try to protect their homes. It is a mess. And on top of that, there is a very low confidence in current South African President Ramaphosa, if I'm pronouncing that right, Ramaphosa, and his lack of leadership, his lack of direction. For instance, during the coronavirus pandemic last year in 2020, while he was still in office or new in office, he deployed as many as 70,000 South African troops in order to help enforce lockdowns and further restrictions. During this current crisis, he's only deployed about 2,500 troops. A massive difference. And those troops currently out there in the streets of South Africa are massively, massively outnumbered by those who are rioting and looting, despite the multitude of arrests currently. So there doesn't seem to be much confidence in his ability to provide safety for his people, enough confidence in his ability to be impartial, especially in regards to what's going on with former President Zuma and what they believe to be a political witch hunt. So there's bias there. And again, I think there is a lack of confidence in his ability to fix the economic peril that the people of South Africa are currently in. So we do need to definitely pay attention to what's going on in South Africa. It's a shame it's not getting as more headlines, and or that it took this long to even get any kind of real coverage, as if South Africa or Africa in general is still considered by many the second-rate country. God forbid if this were to happen in Australia, France, Italy, Spain, it would have been news days ago. So we definitely need to make sure we are paying attention to what's happening in the South African nation there. Send our prayers, send our support in any way that can get to the people, whether it be Red Cross or other humanitarian efforts. All right, so I just wanted to report on that to make sure that their voices are heard, their concerns in terms of the economic peril, poverty, frustration, and potential political bias as it pertains to the persecution of former President Zuma. So that's my story or take on this situation, wanting to give them a voice and just put it out there. This is Bruce the Boss. Please don't forget to like this video, comment on this video. I want to hear your thoughts on what's going on. I'll even leave a link in the description box below if you want to look into some of the articles and or stories surrounding what's going on. All right, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I'm out. Have a great evening. Peace.